Alright, I'm back again. This time we're looking at lesson 1.7. What's it say? Fractions and decimals. F is for fraction, D is for decimals. Uh-oh. Now when you look at this one, this says 30 over 300. But watch out! It's a trap! But why is it a trap, Mr. Nethercott? Because you're supposed to see that they have zeros in common. So if these zeros go away, go bye-bye, who's left standing? That ends up being 3 over 10. So, what's my fraction? My fraction is 3 over 10. Don't fall into a trap. Hey, 10, that's dimes, so that's going to be decimal 3. And you are done. Now, you might say, if you want, 0 decimal 3. That's fine for those of you that like to have that 0 up in front. Uh-oh, here's another trap. Oh, man. So, I make this go away. What do I get? I get 17 over 10. Oh, no. 17 over 10. Yep, that's right. So that ends up being my fraction. 17 over 10. But wait, what's that decimal look like? Divide by 10. That means you're moving your decimal 1 over to the left where your numbers get smaller. That's going to be decimal 1/7. Yep, it is that easy. Uh-oh, this time they gave us a what? They gave us a decimal. So what's my fraction going to look like? My fraction is going to look like 4 over. Now, who is it? What position is it in? It is in the what? It is in that first position, so that's going to be 4 over who? 4 over 10. And this is going to be what? Decimal 4. Or for those of you that like to do it, decimal or 0 decimal 4. So, how many answers are there? There are 2. Alright, moving on. Now moving over to this side, and we look. Oh no! What do I see? But wait. What you don't know is that this next section says, hey man, all of this is all about the hundredths place. Hundred. But wait, it ends with what? Ths. Hundredths. And some of you are like, oh no, what's that mean? But look. But that's a 10, that's not hundreds. That's a 10, that's not hundreds. That's a 10, that's not hundreds. So what does that mean I have to do? I have to do a little bit of extra work. So I'm going to erase this out of the way real fast because I need to slow down and read the directions. The directions said, hey, you need to give me hundreds, but the problems that it gave us problems of 10. So how do we get 100 when we only have 10? Well, that's easy if we pay attention. That means we got to what? Multiply by 10. What I do to one, I must do to the other. So let's see what happens. That green wasn't liking me this time. So, see if this brown likes me. Times 10. Hey, there it is. Times 10. What I do to one side, I must, top and bottom. So this ends up being how much? 60 over how much? 100. Alright, awesome. But wait, isn't the name of the lesson fractions and decimals? So what does that decimal look like? That would end up looking like what? That's going to end up looking like 0.60. Why is it 0.60? Because when you look at your answer, it says, hey, it wants it in the hundreds, tens, hundreds. So you're in the second position. That's who you need. So here's your fraction. Here's your decimal. Sweet. All right. Now we're moving to the next one. Uh-oh, look at it. It's in tens. So I got to do what? Multiply by 10. So this turns into what? Whew, man, it's getting kind of warm in here. Alright, so I'm looking looking, I say this turns into what? This turns into 30 over 100. There's my fraction. And then my decimal is going to be decimal 30. But wait, why is it 30? So when I look at this, here's my 3. There's the 3 I started with, so there's my 3. But I need hundredths. And the hundredths is the second position, so that's why this is my fraction. This is my decimal. You're going to have to pay attention. This is one of those things that will put you in a trap, and you can get a bad answer. Alright, so we look at this one. What do we got to do? Same as we did before. Times 10 times 10. What I do to one, I do to the other. So this ends up being big 7, 90 over 100. And then this ends up being what? Big 7 decimal 90. Okay, but why? Because when we look at this, we had to multiply, so this is our fraction, big 7, 90 over 100. And then we know if this is 90 over 100, but wait, it's over 100. That's why this 0 has to be here, because the 0 is in the second position, which is hundredths. If you leave that off and you go, hey, look at me, I'm 7.9, that's not going to work, because that first position is tenths, not hundredths. You need hundredths, position number 2. So when all else fails, you better add a 0. So, do I get to count this bottom one? Nope. Wrong. So, hundredths, you need that second position. Alright, now let's look over here. Alright, now this time what you don't know is these 3 right here. You need the word thousands. Thousand. But wait, it has to end with what? THS, because it's the ching ching, not the bling bling. So, but wait, Mr. Nethercott, that's 100. That's 100, and that's 10. There's a trap coming. So, this one's going to be multiplied by 10. This is going to be multiplied by 10. And then this is going to be what? Multiplied by 10. Multiplied by 10. Oh, but wait. There's 1 0, and we need 100. So, this was actually going to be times 100. Times 100. So, let's look at this. This ends up being what? That ends up being 600 over what? 1,000. Yep. And then, decimal-wise, that's going to be decimal 600. Why? Because we know it needs to be thousands, which is the third position. And so that 0 has to be there. Alright? 600. We need that third digit. So, moving on. I look here. When I do my work, I see that this ends up being 20 over 1,000. Alright? That ends up being 20 over 1,000. And what's that going to look like? Decimal 200. But why? Because once again, it needs what? 1,000, which is what? Third position. And we need this 0 to be in the what? The third position. But wait, this is a trap, because it only had 10 here. 10 times who is 1,000? 10 times 100. So 8 times 100 is how much? This turns into 800 over 1,000. Alright, 800 over 1,000. And this turns into decimal 800. But wait, just like the others, please remember to put a what? A 0 in that third position, because its last name is 1,000, because it's at thousandths. THS. Alright, third position. So, there it is. We're now done with 1.7. Moving on. Write it down, study, pay attention.